Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another short war video, and today we have more major developments in Iran, Russia, and Ukraine, so let's jump right into it. This morning, a major US military airlift has resumed to the Middle East as satellite footage reveals that more F-16 fighter jets have arrived at the Prince Sultan Airbase in Saudi Arabia, which seems to suggest preparations for new strikes on Iran. We've also seen another interesting sign that the UAE is now urgently installing massive drone defenses around their oil storage tanks, as images show large steel structures being built at several different sites. Meanwhile, Iran appears to have suddenly halted operations at Kharg Island for some unknown reason, and now the oil export terminals appear to have become ghost towns. Meanwhile, Ukraine has devastated several major Russian sites last night, including yet another Russian oil pumping station and Russia's entire Taman Black Sea oil export facility last night. So we have very big news out of the Middle East as always, and also big news out of Russia, but let's jump right into our first article, which goes to Raylon Givens. And right now, this is our biggest story of the day. We are getting word right now that apparently there are more F-16 fighter jets arriving in the Middle East, and specifically at the Prince Sultan Airbase in Saudi Arabia. And according to Raylon, about 15 F-16s just arrived at that airbase in Saudi Arabia. The number of US F-16s at that base now currently stands at 53. And also, in addition to that, other sources are now reporting that there's been training sorties by US Air Force B-1B strategic bombers over the skies of the Eastern Mediterranean. So as you can see right here in our first image, this apparently is an image of the Prince Sultan Airbase right here from satellite, and you can see right there, there are a bunch of smaller aircraft that have suddenly arrived on the tarmac here, or the, I guess you could say the side part of the airbase itself, and you can see right there, there's a whole bunch of them, and it's believed to be that is the 15 new F-16s that have arrived here at this airbase. So that's a pretty big detail right there, of course, and that does suggest that it looks like the offensive operations are about to get right back into full swing. But not only that, but over here on the right, you can actually see there's the image of the B-1B Lancers apparently doing training sorties right over the Eastern Mediterranean. So this is also another pretty good sign right here that they are preparing for new operations on Iran, and right now it's simply a waiting game. We do know today that apparently the US president is now in Beijing. He is going to be speaking to Xi Jinping over there today, and apparently that is what we're waiting for right now to get over with before the Iran strikes restart once again. But I will say that it's usually a very telltale sign when we start seeing F-16s and other fighter jets start arriving in an area like this and this type of numbers right here. It usually indicates that something's coming very, very soon. But not only this right here, by the way, we do have another piece of information, and this one goes to Gordo on Twitter. We have seen that apparently the massive US Air Force airlift has once again resumed today and appears to be in full swing according to Flight Radar 24. And as you can see right here, it's an entire range of activity. There's a whole bunch of Moose, there's a whole bunch of RCH, and these are cargo flights, and also I believe mixed in here as well, there are also some refueling flights as well, because of course some of these aircraft need refueling to get all the way from Europe down to the Middle East. So as you can see, a ton of activity right here, and it looks like it's once again in full swing today, which is also in conjunction with the new fighter jets arriving at Prince Sultan Airbase. So also another pretty big sign. But moving on to our next post here, this one's going to go to Clash Report. Meanwhile, right now in the Gulf states, they are preparing for the worst, and in fact, they are urgently building anti-drone defenses around their oil storage facilities, and right now we're seeing that really happening in the UAE. And right here in the image, you can see there are these massive steel scaffolding that they're installing around all their oil tanks, and this is not the cheap netting, by the way. This is massive structures that are very strong, actually, designed to keep the drones away from the oil. So this is being built very urgently right now inside the UAE, so it looks to me like this is a sign of things to come as well, and once again, it seems to be the final stages of preparations before the war gets kicked off once again. And as Clash Report noted over here in his tweet, he said this is not cheap netting, but systems capable of stopping heavy UAVs. And he is 100% correct. This is not for FPV drones, like those little small miniature drones, the little fast ones. This is made for like Shaheds and larger drones. This is made for the big ones. And it looks like that is what the UAE is currently trying to mainly defend against, are those larger ones, which is mainly what Iran's been using to hit the Gulf states. So that definitely seems to be a preparation. But moving on from this post right here and moving into our next one, this one goes to open source intel. And believe it or not, we also have one more interesting sign as well, that things might be starting to change a little bit with the Iran situation. We've also seen that reports are now indicating that tanker loading operations at Kharg Island have now suddenly stopped, and nobody's really sure exactly why. But apparently though, from the imagery showing from May 7th, 8th, and 11th, shows no tankers present at any of the loading terminals. And of course, there is an oil spill in the area, and they are believing that maybe the oil spill is the reason reason why they're not using it, possibly. But I will say, we saw the tankers pulling up even with the oil spill before. Now all of a sudden the tankers are missing, and they're not seeing any on the satellite videos. So taking a look right here, you can see there is May the 11th, here's May the 8th, and they're jumping back to May the 11th now. And you can see right here, there is no activity whatsoever. Those export terminals right there, they are wide open, and there is the oil spill. We can see that generally, but we don't see any tankers pulling up to the shore here. So that is very telling, I will say, very interesting to say the least. I'm not sure if maybe Iran's expecting strikes on Kharg Island itself, but whatever the case is though, it looks like they have taken measures to get their ships away from Kharg Island. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it's an oil spill, maybe it's not. We'll just have to wait and see. But moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to Visegrad 24. Meanwhile though, speaking of oil, things are not going good right now in the Strait of Hormuz, and they're specifically not going good with the oil and energy exports from the Gulf states, because today we have just heard that apparently Qatar is now saying that the country of Qatar isn't planning on exporting any more liquefied natural gas via the Hormuz Strait after the 2 gas tankers which left last week. So if that report's accurate, that's quite disturbing. Also, Qatar is saying that it'll take at least 2 to 3 more months for energy shipments to normalize even after the strait opens, and they expect 2 to 3 years of high oil and gas prices, which is insane, by the way. That's 2 to 3 years of the current high prices that we're currently experiencing, which is almost hard to believe. And honestly, that echoes something else that we've been saying as well. Even if the Strait of Hormuz reopened literally right now at this very hour, it would take still quite some time, if not several months, like they're also saying here in Qatar, for things to return back to normal, and also even longer than that for the prices to actually stabilize once again. So very ominous indeed, and it looks like Qatar is echoing that statement right here in this post. But moving on from this post right here, moving into our next one, this one goes to the Kobasai letter, and in the meantime, it looks like U.S. oil prices are once again starting to surge toward $104 a barrel once again as peace talks between the U.S. and Iran appear to have stalled, and right now oil prices are up about 17% from the low, and also you can see the chart right here. Actually, you can see right here, there it is creeping up toward $104 a barrel yet again. So it's hard to tell if it's going to stay at 104, go beyond it, or drop back below it. These days, trying to predict anything with the oil price is almost like futile at this point. It's being traded like a cryptocurrency at this point. The way it's just volatile, it's fluctuating all over the place. It's hard to predict anything with it. So right now, we'll just have to see where it goes. But of course, people are once again echoing the cries that maybe it's going to jump up to $120 to $150 a barrel, but it's hard to tell right now. There's no sense at all to this oil price, so we'll just have to wait and see. But moving on from the oil price information and moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to Zero Hedge, and we've also gotten some more information from U.S. CENTCOM about the vessels and the U.S. blockade that's currently taking place in the Strait of Hormuz. We are getting word that apparently U.S. forces have allowed 15 humanitarian aid vessels to pass the Hormuz blockade. Also, they confirmed they've disabled 4 vessels, and also U.S. forces redirected 67 commercial vessels, according to their statement. Also, they do have a small video here showing some of the U.S. deployments of warships in the Strait of Hormuz, and let's take a look at that real quick. There's really not a whole bunch to see, but it does give you a rare glimpse, I guess you could say, of the ships in Hormuz. So let's take a look. So I had to mute the audio, they're playing like some cinematic music. But as you can see right here though, there's a helicopter putting some of the Marines down onto the deck of a cargo vessel. And there is also apparently some of the, I guess the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit's vessels right there. Here you can see another vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. There's a U.S. warship. There they are firing. There they are refueling. There they are with another helicopter. There's apparently the stat about the 15 humanitarian ships being allowed through. There's some CENTCOM footage right there. So really it's just a montage, by the way, of everything CENTCOM's been doing right now in the Strait of Hormuz. So just a glimpse into it, nothing too crazy, by the way. We have seen some of those clips before, but just to give you another idea of what it looks like right now in that area. But moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to FITUX Network, and in the meantime, we are getting some news about the U.S. President and his current visit to Beijing, and right now we have just seen that Air Force One landed at the Beijing Capital International Airport just a couple hours ago, and here it is right here on the tarmac itself in Beijing. So we briefly discussed this last night. We're not entirely sure exactly what this meeting is going to encompass, but we do know that the U.S. President's brought pretty much all the top business people of the United States with this trip right here to Beijing. So we're expecting that maybe he's going to try to make some economic deals with China possibly, which seems to run opposite to what I thought the U.S. was doing, which was decoupling from China. It appears to be they're trying to make more deals to elevate China to a new level that we've seen, at least from statements from the U.S. officials so far. So not entirely sure what that's about, but as you can see though, they are here and they will be meeting with Xi Jinping Jinping, and I'm sure Xi Jinping will be bringing up the whole Taiwan situation and also the possible U.S. weapon sales as well. So we're waiting to see what's going to come out of this. It's certainly an interesting situation to say the least, but only time's going to tell. But moving into our next post here, this one is going to go to OSINT Technical. And let's go ahead and move out of our news from Iran and the Middle East right now and move into our news about Russia, because of course the Ukraine-Russia ceasefire has come to a pretty quick end after that 3-day ceasefire ended, and now we're seeing that Ukraine is back to pretty large-scale whopping attacks on the Russian oil infrastructure once again, and I think Putin was trying to put a temporary pause on this, but it looks like Ukraine has other plans. They're once again back to it, and they're doing some significant damage, as we can see right here in this post from OSINT Technical. And we can see right here that Ukrainian attack drones successfully struck Russia's Taman Black Sea oil export terminal overnight. They set the storage tanks on fire and also damaged one of the few loading piers that they have right here at the site. So taking a look, you can see this is a image from the firm's satellite information. You can see there's a fire right there on several of the oil tanks right there in the image, and also you can't see it right here in this satellite image, but one of these piers out here in the water was also hit by these Ukrainian drones as well. So Taman is in foul shape, and in fact it could be worse damage than we even expect. We haven't gotten the videos from the ground yet. We're waiting on that information, but Taman is in foul shape, and once again we've seen Ust-Luga, Primorsk, now we're seeing Taman, which is another export terminal getting hit, and it looks like Ukraine specifically trying to take out all of Russia's ability to load up ships and sell the oil pretty much to anybody around the globe. So that's what they're trying to do, and it looks like they're succeeding to a large degree. But moving into our next post here, this one goes to Max 25. Meanwhile, it looks like the Astrakhan gas processing plant inside of Russia is also having a big problem as well. In fact, it's a much larger fire than what we just saw at the export terminal right there. But as you can see though, the Astrakhan facility, which has been hit before by the way, is currently burning to the ground based on the firm's satellite information, and it is not in good shape whatsoever. So sadly, no videos of this facility either, but we can see the preliminary data suggests that Ukraine launched another whopping strike on the Russians at several different critical sites. But moving into our next one, this one also goes back to OSINT Technical, and we've seen another critical hit that Ukraine's conducted on Russia, and this is another big one as well. Because we can see that Ukrainian attack drones also hit Russia's Nerlino oil pipeline pumping station this morning, setting the facility ablaze, and the pumping station maintained pressure on lines that transported oil from the Urals to western Russian refineries and export terminals as well. So not only did Ukraine hit the Black Sea export terminals, they also hit the pumping station that even gets the oil around Russia to export it. So, I mean, quite crazy. As you can see right here in the image, there is the smoke from it. As you can see, a successful hit for sure. And this is some of our first images that we've seen so far of the damage from Ukraine's last night attack. But that's Nerlino. But also, jumping into our next one here, we actually have a video showing Nerlino on fire. So let's take a look at this. And there it is. Look at that. Look at that. That is a lot of smoke in the air right there. And as you can see, a very dead-on hit. This is being filmed from somebody's yard that probably needs some lawn care work at this point. But as you can see, though, a lot of smoke, a lot of fire, and right now, not a good situation there at that pipeline, I would say. We also have one more video as well. Let's take a look at the wide angle of the fire as well. And there it is right there. As you can see, it is burning, and here's the actual nearby town to it as well. As you can see, it's literally seen from pretty much anywhere in town for the most part. Everybody crossing the bridge is seeing it. Pretty much everybody's seeing this fire. You can't miss it. So as you can see, that was the proof of the attack, and it was hit quite heavily, as you could tell from the video. But moving on to our next post here, this one's going to go to Status 6 War and Military News. And also, by the way, this is a big failure by the Russians. They installed these drone nets all over the Nerlino production facility here in the dispatch station. They had covered it with the anti-drone nets. As you can see right here in the image from September 2025 last year, you can see there are the drone nets all over these facilities. And as you can tell, drone nets don't work that well when it comes to larger drones that Ukraine's launching. It doesn't work that well whatsoever. And that's what the UAE is currently doing. The UAE is building big metal scaffolding to protect their oil storage sites because the nets simply don't work when it comes to bigger, heavier UAVs. Also, what this this indicates is Russia is pretty much dead broke at this point, because they would probably know that these nets aren't going to work. The only thing the nets work against are pretty much those little small tiny FPV drones, and Ukraine's not using those to hit this deep into Russia. They're using the big ones that have the actual range to hit it. So this is pure nonsense by Russia to even put up nets. It's pointless. But hey, what can we say? When you're dead broke as a country like Russia, you can't afford scaffolding. It's out of your price range at that point. Scaffolding's expensive. I think, possibly. We'll have to find out though. But as you can see though, a big hit in Erlino and a big failure by the Russians. But moving into our next one, this one is going to go to Nexta. We've also gotten another disturbing report right here that apparently Russia launched a drone, this time into central Moldova, which is not a NATO member. At least that's a positive this time. It wasn't NATO this time. The defense ministry inside of Moldova did confirm the airspace violation, and it appears to be that the drone was not shot down. So that seems to be a trend. It seems to be that whenever one of these Russian drones enters somebody's airspace, usually the countries never shoot them down, which is interesting. On one hand, I understand it, because if the drone is over a populated area, that could pose a bigger danger to shoot the drone down and then cause a debris situation, as the Russians call it. But if the drone is over a field or something, I'm not totally sure why they're not shooting these things down, because of course they're enemy drones and they could be equipped with a warhead. So why wouldn't you shoot down a hostile drone? It seems like sort of common sense, but I guess maybe the countries are scared to provoke Russia. I'm not really sure exactly why they're not shooting these down, but you know, they probably have a reason, or at least an official reason for it. But we'll have to wait and see what Moldova says about it, because right now they're kind of a little bit vague about the situation as a whole. But let's take a look at the video and see the drone flying over. And there it goes right there, just flying straight over Moldova's airspace, by the way. As you can see, there goes the shot head right there. Oh wow, somebody's got a really good camera, by the way, to zoom in on that. That's a very good camera. They were ready, but as you can see though, there it goes. Apparently they heard it. They were somehow able to spot it during these cloudy skies right here, and they caught it on camera. So once again, we'll have to wait and see what Moldova says about it, but I suspect it'll be the usual cop-out statements like pretty much always. But with that, folks, that is actually our last post of the video. So before you leave, smack the like button if you found the video informative, and also go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well to get notified of our daily uploads, just like this one. And also our nightly War News streams at 10 p.m. Eastern, and hitting that subscribe button of course sends you the notifications, and also smacking the bell button too. And also, if you want to support our channel and support our work, because we are largely crowdfunded by the viewers, you can go check us out on our Patreon page, and the link is in the description below for Patreon, and you can go up there and sign up for a monthly membership, which does help the channel tremendously, and it can be a small amount, big amount, whatever you feel comfortable doing. By the way, it does help the channel, and we do appreciate that. But in the meantime though, we will see you all at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight on the next nightly War News stream, and to cover the rest of the news throughout the day, and we'll see you all then. And in the meantime, bye bye for now.